Hi, everybody. Welcome to Trek Retrek on Geek the F Out. I'm Captain Johnny.
I'm Ensign Kayla.
And this week's episode is Balance of Terror.
Terror. So terrifying.
Immensely terrifying.
Yep.
TVguide.com says Kirk matches wits with a Romulan commander as the Enterprise chases a cloaked Romulan ship which destroyed 4 Federation outposts into the neutral zone.
Highway to the neutral zone.
Doesn't quite have the same gravitas as Danger Zone.
I know. I'm sorry.
Okay. So as a refresher, you don't need it. We need it because we haven't done this in a while. I have seen all of Star Trek.
And I have seen nothing.
Seen like 90%. I haven't watched all of the animated series, but other than that,
how dare you? I have watched. What episode was this?
14.
14, 15. I've watched 15 episodes of TOS, and I've watched Strange New Worlds and the Chris Pine movies. Basically nothing.
Which is why you're an ensign, and you will get promoted when we finish the original series.
In like 2 years.
Yeah, it's gonna be a while. So yeah, do all the YouTube things. Smack that like button.
Smack that subscribe. Smack that bell icon. Yeah. Follow us at GTFO channel on all the socials. Or you can just do it after.
Yeah, don't do it right now. Don't leave.
Yeah.
Wait until the video's over.
We'll remind you at the end. Don't worry. We got you. We got you.
So this episode starts off with nice, happy feelings. 2 young lovers bound in matrimony.
Are you going to do the voice?
Marriage. Love. True love.
Oh, it's just so good. You guys will understand when we get to memes, but
yeah.
When we both shared them with each other right before, he immediately did that voice, and I was like, oh my God. Too good. Too good. But yeah, I was like, at first I was like, what is this ceremony that's happening? And then I quickly realized it was a wedding. And he's like, since our ships were first made out of wood and blah, blah, blah. I was like, wow, you're going to the literal ship, like not even like a plane or something that's in the sky, like a literal ship. I thought that was kind of funny.
There's a lot of there's a lot of naval and seafaring stuff all throughout Trek because partly because it makes sense for spacefaring like organizations to be organized like a navy, but also because Roddenberry was in the Navy.
Oh, that checks out.
So I think that's part of it. But
I don't have like a super lot of notes. I just realized like I feel like I was just in this episode every time I watched it, and I mean there's just a lot that happens and it's very compelling that I didn't feel the need to make too many notes. But yeah, it starts off with the Outpost 4 is under attack and they go to investigate it, and they realize that all the like 1, 2, 3 outposts were already destroyed, right?
Yeah, something like that. It was in a weird order. It was like I think they started with,
or just like the ones right before it.
Yeah, 2, 3, and then 4 were blown up, and I don't remember if they talked about Outpost 1 or not. Before we go there,
at least 2 and 3.
Similar to you, like I watched it and I'm like, shit, I didn't write anything down. And then I watched it again and I wrote more down. So one thing that I want to point out is the scene in the chapel not Nurse Chapel, but the ship's chapel.
Not inside of her.
No. There's a shot where it shows everybody, and yeah, a lot of them are background actors, but I'm thinking about the talk about Star Trek being, this Star Trek especially, being very diverse for the time, and a lot of these people are background actors, but if you look at that scene in the chapel, you've got there's an Asian woman, there's a black man and a black woman, there's I don't know if it's Latino, there's someone else who was not white,
so lots of people of color.
Yeah, lots of mixed like different ethnicities and backgrounds in this scene, and I'm like,
love that. I noticed that as well. I was like, this is nice. This is nice. This is great. Love this representation.
Biggest melting pot in the world. That's part of an Eddie Izzard bit. He's like, just move it around. Just move it around. Biggest melting pot in the world. It's Stardate 17092. And then, yeah, we get into the stuff with the outposts under attack and or already destroyed.
Yeah. It was interesting as like a overarching theme of the episode 2 in terms of, like, while we're on the topic of diversity, is like the bigotry towards the Romulan, or towards Spock, because of how the Romulans look like him. And I like how throughout the episode, I almost said Pike, Kirk is, adamantly like, we don't condone bigotry around here. Like, I will have none of that on this ship. And he keeps emphasizing it. And yeah, so I liked that overarching theme throughout the episode, which was cool because, like, you got that, and then you got like a really good like action-packed episode. So it was nice to have those layers to it for sure.
There's I don't know, it's hard to say. I want to say that despite it, Kirk never doubted Spock, but I think there might have been some moments where he was questioning, like, what's going on here.
I don't know if I caught that vibe at all, that he was questioning Spock, but I don't know. That's just me. It was interesting, though, that these outposts are literally in asteroids. Like, is that a good idea?
Yeah, I don't know. And they must be pretty stationary asteroids, because otherwise I don't know that you want to build a building on an asteroid.
Yeah, because it said that they were like a mile into the deep into the asteroid, I think.
Yeah,
they said.
Like inside.
Yeah. Which is interesting that we had both asteroids and comets in this episode. They were like, what outer space phenomenons have we not taken advantage of yet that we can just check those off in one episode? I mean, they're both very similar things. One is just a little more icy, but yeah, I thought that was funny that they did both of them. Should we talk about the Romulans and their brown packing material outfits?
Yeah, the TOS Romulan uniforms are definitely interesting.
It looks exactly like that woven brown packing material that is their shirts.
The type that's pretty new stuff too, that started to show up in packages, like the it almost looks like lattice. Whoa. Or like,
yeah,
have you ever seen the, like, they use it, I guess, as like camouflage and hiding things in like war movies and whatnot. It makes it look like, it's kind of like that stuff, but just brown.
Yeah, that was funny. I was laughing at it. I was like, wow, they went real cheap here. First the styrofoam cups that they just painted, now they're using packing materials. I'm sure it wasn't that, obviously. It just looks exactly like it.
I used to have a sweater that looked like one of those Romulan uniforms. And that's probably what it was. I feel like it was like wool knit sweaters. They don't
Yeah.
look like they're comfortable in any way, shape, or form.
No, and then they had it's like when you throw a kitchen towel over your
Yeah.
shoulder while you're cooking. That's what it looked like. Like I don't even know what to call that thing. Not
Yeah.
decoration.
Sash.
Sash.
Some kind of sash. The
Sure.
the Romulans
It's
seem
like
to be. Go ahead.
sorry, it's like the equivalent of when really preppy white dudes wear the sweater over
Like tied
the
around their
shoulder and
neck.
tied around the neck. That's the Romulans. The Romulans are like the preppy people of outer space.
Um, yeah, getting up to that when we see that, like, Spock's a voyeur. He always wants to like see onto other ships. He did it in the
Hey, don't
Corbomite
yuck his
maneuver.
yum.
He did it here. Like, and the Romulans seem to be modeled on. It's very much in this episode. It's not something that gets carried over as much, I don't think. But in this, they seem highly inspired by like Romans, like ancient Rome,
Mm, yeah.
because
Because
they
didn't they
talk
kind of have a sash too? Or something? I feel like I've seen.
like red
Let me
over
look
the
up.
shoulder for the togas.
Yeah. Toga.
Um,
Toga.
but they talk about the praetor, and they mention the one Romulan is the centurion, and it's like,
Yeah, what is a praetor? Is that like their leader? Is that like their
yeah,
president?
hmm
Okay.
yeah, that's the
Ancient
head of their
Romans.
government.
Okay. I just want pictures. Yeah, they kind of have a sash, but it's kind of into the toga. It's not
Yeah.
really just hanging there, I guess. Still same kind of concept for sure.
The other notable
Hmm.
thing is their watermelon helmets. The
Oh yeah.
weird like
Those were very weird. And also
cantaloupes.
like their salute or whatever was like across the chest like that.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
hmm
A little too similar to something else.
That's well. That reminds me of another Eddie Izzard bit. He was like, "You got the Pledge of Allegiance. Hand over your heart. You and the Roman Emperor. Emperor. Like you're the only two. You know what happened to them?
Not wrong.
Something to that effect." Um. Yeah.
I don't have too many notes. I my next note after packing materials is at one point when they get hit, because it's a bunch of back and forth, them firing at each other, and it's cool tactics that they use too, with the Romulan ship being invisible or being able to be invisible, and then they realize that it only has limited range with their phasers, and then they have to become visible again if they're going to use their phasers. So it's interesting how they were maneuvering around that, and then also using they were also uh the starship was being their reflection to follow them, and then they like played dead for a minute, and then the Romulan ship sent out debris to make it look like it was, destroyed or whatever. And then they used the comet. Like I feel like they used like every kind of tactic in this
hmm
episode. But it was really cool, like, and very different from what we've seen before, except for on Strange New Worlds because they copied this episode.
That's why I made sure that you watched this one first.
Yes, I
Um.
did. Don't worry, guys. Um, yeah, it was cool that they used all that stuff. Yeah, and at one point when they fired on back to my main point, when they fired at the Enterprise, and everyone was falling over, and it was once again it's the very typical like you put your arms up for some reason when you're falling and you roll around, like you twirl around in the air, and I think it was Ahura did it, and she's like rolling around and then hits the wall like this. I'm like, no one falls in that way. It was so funny.
That's where I have my note, more Ahura booty.
Oh yeah.
Because
every once in a while, like it'll be like of any of the women, it'll be a slight lower angle upskirt, not an actual upskirt shot. Yeah, and you'll get the booty.
It looks like I hadn't noticed it before, but with the uniform that she was wearing in this episode, it looks like that split that is usually on the side of the leg in a skirt to give it movement is like right in the back of it.
Oh, weird. I feel like it's been either on the front to the side, not quite on like the side of the hip, but like off center.
Maybe she had it turned around the wrong way.
Yeah, maybe it got twisted in all the falling and the movement and the craziness.
It was right in
and
the
all
back
the rolling
of the
around, and not the rolling around we want to see. Oh, okay. I have a question though. I watched this several times, and I don't know if I just missed it every time, but like, how did they like what did they do to make the pink smoke go off? Like, how did that happen?
I don't think we saw it. Or why did it start, or how did they fix it?
Was it just from the ship getting attacked, or was it a tactic used by the Romulans?
No, it was just a consequence of them having taken damage.
Okay, because for a second it seemed like somehow the Romulans made it happen because they knew they wouldn't be able to fire back, so then when they did, they were like surprised by that.
No, I didn't get that impression. I think it was just collateral damage from the other shots that they had taken from the Romulans, from their weapon. Okay,
interesting. Yeah, because I was like, how would they have done that?
Yeah,
unless they have some crazy, I don't know, crazy powers. Because I know they have more advanced, like with the invisibility shield. I was about to say cloak. I mean, it is a cloaking device.
Yeah, that's what it. Yeah, it's a cloaking device. Cloaking devices become very common throughout Star Trek and all the different series and seasons.
Is that the first time? That's not the first time we've seen some kind of invisibility cloak, is it? At least on a ship it is, but I don't know if like a person has become invisible.
I don't recall.
I mean, there's the invisible beings in Strange New Worlds, but
yeah, I thought you said beans, and I'm like, what?
Beans.
Invisible beans? And then I realized what you meant.
Beans, the magical fruit. The more you eat, the more you toot. The more you toot, the better you feel. Man, don't leave me hanging.
I don't remember the rest of it.
Beans for every meal.
I like literally only remember the first up to the more you toot.
All right. This is gonna be our last episode, guys.
And I hadn't heard it as magical fruit. I've always heard it as musical fruit.
No, it's magical because it makes you poop. Musical.
I've heard beans, the musical fruit. Are beans even a fruit?
Because
they're legumes, aren't they?
Yes, they are. And then there's like...
Fuck that song.
There's also beans. Oh, how does it go? Something. The more you eat, the more you fart. The more you fart, the better you feel. Beans for every meal.
Sure.
But how does that one go? Okay. Anyways.
Tune in next week for our beans stream.
When Mr. Bean comes on.
So yeah, we'll get Mr. Bean on here and we'll talk all about beans. There's a part where what was it? Oh shit, what was his name? The navigator that was there. Was
Styles?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to say Riley. Riley popped into my
Yeah.
head. I'm like, it wasn't fucking Riley.
Oh, we love Riley.
It's like Romulan spies might be on the ship, and Sulu's like, I concur. And I'm like, how the fuck would you know, even if they were? How are you gonna find them? Like,
I mean, obviously they would look different, but also I found that very weird too that Sulu agreed, because what evidence is there that you think they would be on the ship?
yeah, it
Like,
seemed
what
very.
has happened that it was random. It was very random.
And I think that was before they saw that they looked like Vulcans.
Yeah, it was. It was before.
And it's like, okay, I get it. They had a war with Romulans over like 100 years ago or something like that, and that is an interesting aspect to it. Like, they didn't know what Romulans looked like. All their communication was voice only, so they never saw a Romulan. They only saw their ships. So even if there were Romulan spies on board, how would you know? Because you don't know what they look like. Oh, yeah, because
they don't know what they look like. Yeah.
You're not going to be able to tell.
Because if they did also look like humans or like Vulcans or whatever other species they already do know, then yeah, that's a good point. I totally forgot about that they don't know what they look like. Interesting. Because yeah, when I watched it again, I remembered that part, and then I was like, was it before or after? And it was definitely before they saw what they looked like, and then Styles got all racist.
There's a part too where they're
not that that's funny, but
there's a part too where they're talking about like Kirk's logs, like it's been 19 hours, and I'm like, you've sat there for 19 hours and not done anything? Like, that's almost a whole day.
Thought it said 9 hours. When I just rewatched, it was either 9 or 19. It's been some time.
It's still not an insignificant amount of time to just sit there.
No. Yeah.
But it's
because he was just laying in bed, right?
Yeah.
And then
having a quick nap.
Yeah, Yeoman comes in. She's like, do you want to eat or anything? Like, 9 hours is a long time to go without eating.
Did you have any other notes aside from like moments, and that's what they said?
I mean, so they ultimately blew up the Romulans.
Yeah, they damaged the ship enough that it was going to explode. And that's when we had the exchange between Kirk and the Romulan commander, where he's like, we'll evacuate your people. And the Romulan commander's like, it's not our way. Just another duty to perform.
Which they're like, fucking, what's the word? Intense? That's still not the right word. Severe, strict. I don't know. It just seemed
loyal, dutiful.
Sure. Any of those. But I did think it was funny that like after everything, Starfleet responded and was like, it's okay, just do what you want. I was like, you're a little too fucking late, Starfleet.
Yeah, I wrote down, I'm like, better late than never, Command.
Yeah. That was funny. Oh, but it was so sad that they lost the dude who was supposed to get married.
Yeah, his fiance seemed to get over it real quick, though.
Yeah, and then
She's
of course,
like, I'm okay.
Hugged Kirk. Yeah. Kirk is either gonna get a hug, a kiss, be shirtless, or get in a fight every episode. One of those things is guaranteed.
That was one of the things with this episode overall, as I felt they did a good job establishing the seriousness of the situation with a lack of music in the beginning. Like, there was no soundtrack. It was just them on the bridge talking with the sound effects. And Kirk's demeanor well acted by Shatner. Kirk's demeanor versus his demeanor in previous episodes was very serious. Like, it really established that this was a big deal.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal. Which apparently you like bread and butter pickles, and I still. Anyways, it was a very. We're moving past that. It was a very sad and kind of complicated ending with the like implications of it. I'm very curious if they're going to touch on it again anytime soon. I mean, I know they don't in the next episode because I've watched the next episode, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Oh, I was going to say Spock's makeup and ears looked great. I didn't really have any notes on that, and I didn't really notice her. I mean, she wasn't really too much of a focus of her this episode, so I didn't really have anything to comment about her earrings, but I think they were there.
No, but she did get to take over navigation, like front and center.
Oh yeah, that's right. Like, so much happened this episode. It's a lot. But yeah, that's all my thoughts. Generally, I enjoyed it. I have specific lines, though. Do you have any specific lines or moments?
Yes, but before that, the only other thing I have down in general is, why are helmsmen so mouthy? Like, whoever's sitting next to Sulu, just a mouthy motherfucker.
That's so true. Always. It's always been that way.
And we kind of see that with Ortegas in Strange New Worlds, too. She's always got some kind of sly, sarcastic comment to make about the situation. Helmsmen are mouthy.
Wrong. You're not wrong. I fucking love Ortegas, though. She's great. She is great.
Who do we not love on Strange New Worlds? I don't think there's anybody.
No. I really don't think there is. Like, I even love La'an. Like, she's great. Which is always so funny, like, saying her name, because when you say it, it sounds like you're just saying, like a lawn.
Like a lawnmower.
Yeah.
You got to extend out that A and
La'an.
La'an, yeah.
La'an. I try. But if I'm talking fast, it just comes out like lawn.
You get that sometimes during the show too. Some people will specifically pronounce it La'an, and some people will just be like lawn. Yeah. But yeah, do you want to go on to favorite lines and moments then?
Yeah. I think moments is once again when they fired at the Enterprise and everyone was just rolling around in the air, their arms flailing. That was great. I liked the tactic that they used of using the comets trail to see the Romulan ship. And then just because the pink smoke was fun to look at, I kind of liked that. I don't know. That was more aesthetically pleasing, even though, once again, I'm not a big fan of pink. But specifically for lines.
She says, well, she's got, or is it purple? It looks kind of
purple.
Pink. Okay. This
is very, let me move my mic so I'm not like screaming at it. This is very purple. No, this lighting is making me look weirdly tan. I'm not this tan. It's making me look very yellow. Let me turn up my light. Hold on. Change it to white. That's purple.
That looks much more purple.
I just have it on like a warm lighting.
There you go.
Maybe I should just mix it. There we go. That's slightly better.
Makeup tips with Kayla.
Makeup.
So pink smoke.
Pink smoke. Oh, the line that I like is Kirk says to Styles, Leave any bigotry in your quarters. There's no room for it on the bridge.
Mm-hmm. Good on you,
Snaps
Kirk.
all around. Yes.
Um,
Good boy, Kirk. Now, if only you could treat women with the same respect.
we'll get there. Hopefully.
Hopefully. We know
Similar.
Pike does, but that's why Pike is daddy.
Similar to that, there's a part where Kirk is just kind of walking around the bridge, and Styles is kind of giving Spock the side eye, and Kirk just just taps on the console like, "Pay attention, dude."
Yeah.
I just thought that was funny.
Like, don't worry about that. Don't be racist.
Do your job.
Do your job. Jinx. You owe me a Coke.
I don't have one.
Next time.
Yep.
I'll write it down.
Do you have any more?
That's it.
The other one, the last one I have is no, I have two. The Romulan commander, he's a sorcerer. That one.
Yeah, that was funny.
And then in the briefing, they're talking about the comet, and Kirk's like, "Are you familiar with it?" And hands Spock a book, like presumably about interstellar phenomenon and comics. And Spock's just like, "Nah, fam, I got this."
I know more than you.
Like,
good try.
No thanks. I don't need your fucking book.
Good day. Good day.
I said good day.
I said good day.
So yeah. So
all right.
That will bring us to That's What They Said. Who's starting?
You can start.
Tie us in.
Tied in, sir.
This is the hardest substance known to our science.
Sit down, mister.
How pleasing to the eye it is.
Same as before, Mr. Sulu.
He'll try to slip under us.
Yay. That's what they said.
Yes. That will bring us to episode trivia from Memory Alpha.
Ooh, yes. Give me the trivia. Oh my gosh. Sorry.
I need to bring it up because apparently I forgot to pre-select.
How very dare you?
So you're going to get episode trivia on the fly. I'm just going to pick and choose here. Let's go. Let's see.
And you were upset at me for not being prepared.
I didn't say I was upset with you.
I know you weren't.
I
forgot to do memes.
The plot of this episode is based on the 1957 film The Enemy Below, with the Enterprise taking the part of the American destroyer and the Bird of Prey with its cloaking device taking the part of the submarine. Director Vincent McKevity had seen the film but only noticed the similarity later when this was pointed out to him. He commented, "Obviously, it's the same story." It's one of those things where you're inspired by something you see and you riff off of it and you don't even realize you're doing it until later.
It's the irony that I was just thinking about that this morning, because there's just so many things out there, like media wise, like book wise, any kind of thing that like it's hard to not already copy something or be influenced by something and then forget about it, or just not ironically, coincidentally, copy something that, like, how do you defend yourself? Like, I don't know. It's different if it's like word for word something, or aesthetically is just a little too obviously the same. But I'm just like, in today's world, when we've had so much media over time, especially in this digital age, I'm like, how do you not copy something?
Yeah, I
It's
mean, it
hard.
can happen. There's like you'll often hear people say like there are no original ideas, and there's a difference between just straight up like plagiarizing and being
Hmm.
inspired by and um, innovating on things that you've seen or been exposed to.
Totally. Totally. And I think there are still more original ideas. Like they're always going to be similar, but yeah, like even just like creatures wise, I feel like we've thought of a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
As far as our brains can, at least. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. Um, the Romulan helmets shown aboard the Romulan bridge were designed to cover the ears of the actors, which is what I was thinking. Like, I figured that's what the case was to avoid prosthetics. This saved the
Yeah,
additional
that's a
cost of
lot.
creating prosthetic ear points for each of the supporting actors. They were reused in later episodes for the same reason. Like, so yeah, the Romulans do show up again. But
Hmm. I mean, I figured they
would
would.
would making those helmets really be cheaper than making other prosthetic ears? Like, that's what
I
I
mean,
don't get.
I think the thing is, it takes a lot of time with prosthetics, like a lot of
Probably,
time.
and in the
And it's really
'60s.
hard. Yeah, it is the 60s. It's really hard to get right now. Could not imagine it then. Like, fun fact for The Lord of the Rings, for the Hobbits, it took them a shit ton of hours, I can't remember exactly, to put their feet on and off. And it was funny because then when they did The Hobbit, they finally decided just to make it all one piece of material that went up to like, I think just below the knee, because then their like pants would cover that seam there. And like it took like no time at all to do that. Whereas for Lord of the Rings, they had to take forever to apply the feet. And they also had to stand for most of the time when they applied it. So it was rough. It was rough. So prosthetics are hard. So I
Mhm.
get that. That makes sense to me at least.
Um, this episode saw the introduction of the Romulan Star Empire in Star Trek. Paul Schneider is credited with creating the Romulans. He remarked, "It was a matter of developing a good Romanesque set of admirable antagonists that were
Hmm.
worthy of Kirk. I came up with the concept of the Romulans, which was an extension of the Roman civilization to the point of space travel, and it turned out quite well." Just a little Barry Horowitz pat on the back there.
Pet pet. Pet pet.
So that will do it for episode trivia, which will bring us
Ooh, ooh.
to memes or spoilers without
Memes.
context.
Yes.
Um,
I have to pull up yours again.
I don't remember who went first last time, so we will
I
bring
don't
up
remember either.
Ensign Kayla. We'll bring your
Okay.
memes up first. Then we'll put them on the screen. To this
No,
direction.
wait. I'm mirrored, so it's this way. I
They'll
forgot
be
I
there
did that.
somewhere.
Um, yes. So unfortunately, we had some wedding crashers this episode in the form of the Romulans. How rude. How wooed. And then yes, the packing material had to include that. And this pink smoke was very a la what a lot of people do for their gender reveal
Yeah.
just parties. I'm
Yeah.
not going to comment on gender reveals. It's really fucking stupid. And then, of course, Harry Potter's invisibility cloak, because I love Harry Potter. And yeah, invisibility shield cloak that they had.
Mm-hmm. So we will now
Yours.
pull mine up and
I
marriage.
got it. Yes. You did it again. Yay.
Because of the wedding, obviously. And then the same
Ops.
invisibility cloak
Yes.
from Harry Potter for the cloaked
Again, we did
Romulan
not
ship.
plan this.
No. Did the Spider-Man pointing at Spider-Man for Spock seeing the Romulan commander for the first time?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then
Which I almost did that one, and I'm glad I didn't do that.
and then Ron Swanson in the hardware store. I know more than you. For when Spock just like puts the book down that Kirk was trying to hand him. It's like, come on, don't insult me.
Yeah. That's me when I go into like Ulta or Sephora and they're like, can we help you? I'm like, good day. Good day. No, I know more than you. It's okay.
It's like
I don't
me.
actually think that, but I'm just like, I'm good. Help someone else that actually needs it.
That is legitimately me walking into like the electronics section of any store or any electronics store. I'm like, hey, I worked here for 10 years. You don't need to talk to me. So those are your...
I would be useless in that department.
I would be useless in an Ulta, so there you go.
Perfect.
Those are your spoilers without
Dream
context
team.
for Balance of Terror. Yes. So that will bring us to ranking the episode. Ensign Kayla, how do you rank Balance of Terror?
Well, I don't know. I'm kind of teetering between... No, I'm not. It's Captain. My acting's getting pretty good.
I was gonna say I couldn't tell. Were you just screwing with the audience and me, or were you actually just uncertain until that particular moment?
No, I mean it's the Romulans. Like, come on.
You do have
like for that reason alone, and it's a really good episode. There's a lot that happens, and like I was saying before, there's a lot of layers to it. Like it's not just all like action. Like loved all the different tactics they used. There was just a lot of new stuff, and I feel like there was a lot of characters that were utilized throughout the episode too, for the most part. So that was cool. Yeah. Captain. That's it, baby.
Same.
What about you?
I also give it Captain. It's one of those episodes that stands up as like a pivotal episode of Star Trek. Like, it's one of the most talked about episodes.
Yep.
And we'll get into it has a legacy, which we'll get into in a little bit. But before we start, because I want to talk a bit about this episode, because we didn't do it much when we covered Strange New Worlds, but I want to talk about a little bit about this episode and the Strange New Worlds episode that riffed off this. But if you haven't seen Strange New Worlds, we'll do that at the end. So the next episode of the original series that we're going to cover is going to be Shore Leave. IMDb.com says that the past 3 months have left the crew of the Enterprise exhausted and in desperate need of a break. But does this explain McCoy's encounter with a human-sized white rabbit, or Kirk crossing paths with the prankster who plagued his days at Starfleet Academy?
It is an interesting one for sure. Spoiler alert.
So this is the time to jump out if you haven't watched the season 1 finale of Strange New Worlds.
But make sure before you do to smack that like, smack that subscribe, smack that bell icon. God, this is so annoying. Follow us on everything at GTFO channel on Instagram, Twitter, Threads, all those things. If you want to email us, you can email us at channelgtfo@gmail.com.
Yes.
Everything else is GTFO channel. Don't know why Gmail did that to us, but not going to try to take it personally.
It was taken.
It was taken.
Yeah, for some reason, GTFO channel at Gmail was taken, and just on Gmail.
Just on Gmail. Yeah. But yes, so thanks everyone for joining who has not seen Strange New Worlds. For everyone who has, you can stick around.
Stick around, because we're going to talk about Balance of Terror and Quality of Mercy. So now that you've seen both, well, you had seen both, but now that we're covering Balance of Terror, what did you think about the essentially like a what if episode of Star Trek? Like, what if Pike was still captain of the Enterprise when this happened?
Yeah, I I liked it. At first I was like, this is just a little too similar. I think when we talked about the episode, I don't know, like the whole dream sequences thing, I'm not the biggest fan of those tropes. Um I do get it in terms of like showing him that future and like him learning a lesson from it. I appreciate that because there's a lot of times when they do that and then you're kind of just like, what was the point of doing all of that?
Yeah, like
Like,
nothing changes, everything's just status quo. It may
yeah.
it
And
may
I
as
think it
well have
did,
not happened.
yeah, and I think it did add to the plot, the story, his character. It definitely did do all of that. And I enjoyed that episode. I can't remember what we ended up ranking it.
It was
I mean, we
commander
rapid
or
fire
captain.
ranked it.
Yeah, we did
Yeah,
rapid
it was
fire
either
ranks.
commander or captain because that was most of them.
Yeah.
um but yeah, I think I may have enjoyed this episode more.
Really?
Yeah. And I was gonna say this before I forgot, but I think this episode holds up super well too.
Mm.
Maybe not in the effects, obviously, but otherwise it holds up pretty well. I think at least.
I do too. I mean, like I said, I watched
Mm.
it twice, and because I had to make sure the second time I watched it, I was actually writing stuff down. Um,
Yeah, you just get sucked into it essentially.
yeah,
Yes. Uh, what were your thoughts of comparing the two,
I
or
like
and
it.
of that what if episode?
I like it, but I'm a sucker for that kind of thing. Conversely to you, I'm a sucker for like what if stories, alternate realities, like
Yeah.
sort of fish out of water stuff. Just so I thought it was really
Yeah.
neat to see what would have happened if it had been Pike in that situation instead of Kirk.
Mhm.
Kirk was still sort of there, but not captain of the
Mhm.
Enterprise. And yeah, Pike
Yeah.
kind of fucked it up.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. I'm gonna have to rewatch that episode too, because I feel like I was just going through them so fast.
Yeah, you were kind of binging to try to get
Yeah.
everything covered.
And I binged them twice. 30 episodes in like a week. And I wasn't even sick. I was sick all of last week, and like that would have made sense. Somehow I still did it.
Anyways,
I burned through them.
yes, in rapid fire.
Mhm.
I was gonna try to make a multi-orgasmic joke, but it didn't come to me. It didn't come to me.
It didn't come to you. Well, then it definitely wasn't multi-orgasmic.
And on that note, that's it for this week. Thanks everybody for joining
Yeah.
us. If you're still here,
Thanks everyone for
Again,
coming. Hopefully
multiple
there
times.
was multiple comings.
Again, like, subscribe, do comments.
Smack all the things, please.
Yes.
You've already heard it, but if you haven't done already, please and spank you.
And we will see you next time for Shore Leave.
Yep. Peace and long life.
Live long and prosper.
Bye, guys.